Hey, what's up, guys? It's Larry, the mortgage guy, your mortgage insider, and certified veteran mortgage advisor. And I want to welcome you to my newest class. I'm actually very excited about it because it's a class that I don't think most loan officers and lenders teach. In fact, I wrote it myself. I'm the one who originated all the content in here, and it's going to address 5 things that you should not do, like 5 do not dos if you're in the home buying process or you're getting ready to buy or you're thinking of buying or you're thinking about qualifying to buy. These are the 5 things you do not want to do. Okay. And I know you've heard of lists like this before. Is not what you think, meaning I think mine is actually unique or different from most people. Okay. We're already behind, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, meaning we're not going to wait for anyone else. And of course, if you do have any questions, this class is designed for you. So I will love nothing more than to stop and answer your question because, again, it helps me give you the value that you are looking for, and at the same time creates content for me anyway, because that's the reason why I do these classes, is to create content for YouTube and other video platforms. So please ask away. You can unmute or you can ask in the chat, and I will definitely make sure that I address it. Okay. So let's move along to the class itself. All right. So again, a real quick introduction. I'm a certified veteran mortgage advisor at the Larry Lee team. I'm licensed since 2016. I always make a joke, like I talk about my wife and about how long she's been in the business with someone else, and I told them about a couple of years, and my wife was there. She was like, "It's been like 5 years." I was like, "Holy crap! That means I've been in the business for a long time." So 6 years apparently. Does that make me a senior loan officer? I don't know. I don't have the title, so I don't know. I have a side hustle as a as a social media marketing coach and running my own ad agency, Robots LLC. The reason I bring that up is because I'm trying to marry my two passions, which is social media and mortgages. I'm trying to bring awareness, which is why I do classes like this. So you're kind of a part of that project. Okay. I'm licensed in 10 different states: Arizona, California, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. But my branch is licensed in 30 plus states. So there's a chance that I might be able to help you in the state that you're in. Okay. And NMLS number is 1440741. All right. My mission is that I love the mortgage business, but I was fed up with the lack of education and information clients were provided during their application process. So I created a first time home buyer coaching class for mortgage clients that provides instant access to answers to questions and simple explanations to the mortgage process and how to qualify. I also provide one on one coaching to those who want it. So basically, what I'm trying to create is I'm trying to create a library of on demand content about the mortgage business that you can learn about how to buy effectively and successfully and easily without having to talk to a loan officer, right? Because there's lots of information that loan officers tend to hold secret, or they don't share it until they speak to a client. That's their selling or competitive edge, whatever. I'm trying to give it all away to you guys, okay? And you don't have to talk to me at all. You can find it on Google or Zoom or YouTube, whatever. But if you do want one-on-one coaching, meaning you want actual direct customized help, then of course you have to reach out to me. We have to connect. You can't ghost me or hide from me, and more than likely, I'm gonna have to know who you are, right? So unlike other loan officers, I made it my passion to coach first-time homebuyers on the mortgage process, and that makes all the difference of how I have helped hundreds of people get on the right path to home ownership, with many of them becoming homeowners. You remind me of many of my smart, successful, and savvy clients who are now homeowners because you are taking the right step on the home purchasing process, like they did by being on this call, meaning you're basically trying to get education. So, kudos to that, right? Um, Actually, I have some participants. Let me go ahead and add them real quick just to make sure. I don't want to make sure. I want to make sure everyone who wants to ask questions or talk is allowed to. All right. Thank you very much for giving me the time to do that. All right. The home buying process is very confusing to most people, and that is why I am here to simplify this process and make sure you're 100% prepared in the home buying process and to become ahead of the competition. And what I mean by that is I want to, of course, mentally prepare you because there's a lot of work involved. And also, I want to physically help you, if I can, become more competitive. For example, I can provide what we call a TBD, or to be determined pre-approval, meaning what we do is we underwrite you to the fullest extent as a buyer, to the point where the only thing we need left is going to be the property and the appraisal. So we conditionally approve you, meaning I can give you an offer letter with a commitment letter, meaning we're going to commit to approve your loan as an offer, so it's almost as good as cash, and that makes it so that you can close faster and you just look better compared to all the other pre-approved buyers. You're actually already approved. Now it's about the property, right? So that's something that I've been able to do to help my clients, especially with the VA and FHA clients, to win offers, like literally no questions asked, right? All right, cool. My why, of course, my wife and my kids, but especially my two boys, Hunter and Bruce, because they're on the spectrum for autism. So my goal is to get ABA therapy for them. I spoke to a lot of parents who have children on the spectrum, and they say that ABA therapy is a game changer. So my goal is to have enough resources to provide that for them, right? Also, my next why is helping veterans, and a social media post that I made kind of explains why. Okay, my father was living in Da Nang, Vietnam during the fall of Saigon. My mother was living in Saigon. My father left by helicopter, my mother by boat. It was U.S. soldiers who helped them get into that helicopter and on that boat. They met in Hong Kong, China. And if it wasn't for a U.S. soldier basically taking orders and following orders, my parents may not have survived, met, and had me. And I wouldn't have what I have today, meaning my life, my children, whatever. I might not even exist. So those U.S. soldiers are veterans now, more than likely. So thank you, vets. I owe you my life. So I really believe if it wasn't for the U.S. military, who are most of the people who helped were soldiers, if it wasn't for them, my parents never would have met. I never would have been born, and my sons wouldn't be alive right now. So I basically owe them everything. Okay. Again, I do a first time homebuyer class seminar. It's a 2-hour class that I actually present either online or in person. It gets pretty detailed, but I don't get too deep on the information. I just kind of gloss over it. And one of the classes I talk about is the top 5 things not to do when buying a home. And I go, it's not what you think. So we're going to today focus on just that particular class. Okay. So if you want to look at the information or want to see the content for the other classes, you can always find it on YouTube. I'll probably put a link somewhere if you're watching this on a YouTube video right now, or you can reach out to me and I'll provide you those classes for you. Okay. All right. So, disclaimer, I'm not trying to piss anyone off or make anyone feel stupid. I am simply trying to provide transparency because most loan officers are doing a horrible job of telling you the truth. What I mean by that is not that they're lying to you, it's like they don't tell you everything that you should know, right, for the home buying process, or they forget, or they just don't know, right? Also, any information I share is general knowledge I acquired through training and experience. Every situation is subject to a case by case basis, and exceptions are always possible, especially with different lenders and financial institutions in states. And the reason I put the disclaimer, of course, to protect myself, at the same time, I'm basically saying I'm preparing to piss a lot of people off. And I just want to say, hey, I'm warning you. Okay. Uh, yeah, here we go. Top 5 things not to do when buying a home. And it's not what you think. And I like to use memes because I think it kind of lightens the mood. But yeah, in this case, Jackie Chan had to clear the close, or he's the loan officer, and he goes and you go and apply for a Kohl's card to save 20% on a $50 purchase, which affects credit, right? So that's something you don't want to do, right? But again, that's not what I'm talking about, but that's kind of an example of things not to do, right? Right. Number 1, do not lie on your application or to your loan officer. We will find out. And when I say lie, I'm talking about different types of lies, not just a lie where you outright lie, meaning like, let's say you own a property, but you don't want us to know about it. And you literally omit the fact that you have another property. Or do you own another property? No. Hoping that we don't find out, right? We're going to find out. Okay. That's what I mean by that kind of lie. Now, there's other lies where you don't know that you're lying, right? I ask if you are divorced or not divorced, married or separated or not unmarried, whatever, and you're actually in the process of being divorced, getting divorced, whatever, and you put separated or unmarried, when in fact, by law, on paper, you're still married, right? That's kind of a lie, and that actually makes a difference. Okay. And This has happened to me where a person, they said that they were divorced and they applied, and it turns out they were not divorced. They were in the process of getting divorced, but because of that, we could not close the loan because they are party to a lawsuit. And in Texas, community property state, if you are married, then your spouse, husband or wife, is subject to part ownership of the property. So we're actually going to need the information. But of course, if you're divorced, you're not going to be able to get that information, right? So things like that happen, right? So basically, be honest and know the truth or know the facts of your personal situation when you're applying. Okay. Again, do not lie to your application or to your loan officer. We will find out. And there's plenty of things that people kind of hide or pretend doesn't exist. Like maybe they owe back child support or they have an IRS debt or whatever. We're gonna find out, right? And sometimes people just forget. Like we'll do a CAVR search. CAVR's I don't forget what it stands for, and it's spelled really weird. But basically, it's like a background check on government debt. We do CAVR searches, and we'll find like a debt from like 20 years ago, right? Can't really blame a person for forgetting a 20-year-old debt, right? But again, if you know, try to be honest about it. Try to let us know, because the quicker we know, the quicker we can handle it. The quicker we can make sure we can pre-approve you and move you forward. Because I've actually had deals die at the 11th hour because of things like this, right? Not saying that again, you did it on purpose or whatever, but it's good to know if you know, to make us aware of it. So one of the questions I asked during the application process, before I even give them the application, I asked them, are there any red flags that you would like to discuss or volunteer? Like, are you, is there back child support? Have you had a bankruptcy or foreclosure? Do you owe money to the IRS? Are you in default on your student loans? Are you being sued by anyone? Anything like that. And most people will tell me no. Okay, what I mean is most people who do have a red flag, they'll tell me no, and then we find it later on, and I'll be like, how come you didn't tell me that you had this? Oh, I didn't think it made a difference. I'm like, well, no, it's a red flag, right? It's a financial situation that we need to be aware of, because now we have to delay closing or delay the application process because this is going to take 30 days to clear up, whatever, right? So it's designed to not only make sure that we know what we're doing with you, but it also helps us set expectations, right? Can I be pre-approved? Well, yeah, after 30 days, because you got to clear this out, right? But for the next 30 days, you can't make any offers, right? I mean, I guess if we set a closing time at a specific time and we can get that paperwork taken care of, then fine. But you're not officially pre-approved until that's done, right? So we might put a contingent out there. We might say, hey, you're pre-approved, but a contingent to this. So technically, you're not pre-approved, but you can go make offers, and by the time you close, that should be cleared, and then you'll be okay, right? And I don't know, someone's saying Larry to me. That's funny. Facebook user, can't see who it is, but I'm gonna imagine it's like like a fan screaming my name, right? All right, cool. So next thing not to do: do not blame your lender if your credit scores are lower than you thought. Credit Karma is fake. Now, not that we don't take responsibility or we don't have any uh, accountability. Yeah, there is a ding on the credit score when we pull your credit. Yes, that is caused by us doing an inquiry, right? That's not what I'm talking about, right? Obviously, if I inquire on your credit, there's a chance your scores are going to drop. More than likely, it's going to be 5 points or less. It depends on your credit as well, because I think I was told or said or I learned, the better your credit, the less it will affect your score. Meaning, if you have 800 credit scores, you might lose 1 point, maybe 1 point, maybe 2. If you have horrible credit, you might lose 5 points, right? Again, it depends, right? Maybe you have a lot of inquiries. Who knows? I don't pretend to know how the credit reporting system works, but at most, from what I've learned, what I've researched, is 5 points maximum. Okay, so I had a client who told me they had a 650 credit score. I'm like, cool, no problem. According to Credit Karma, okay, no problem. I accept that. And when I pulled the credit, they ended up being a 600. Now, of course, the reason why this is important, because we're trying to do a conventional loan. Conventional is at least a 620 or above. More than likely, you want to be higher than 620. But if you're below 620, you end up being FHA. And I explained that to them, and they were mad at me. They're saying, because of your inquiry, you lost me 50 points. I'm like, no, no, I'm sorry. That's not how it works, man. Credit Karma gave you a score using a Vantage score, which is a totally different index or credit reporting system that we use. And I try to explain to them that Fannie Freddie and the regulators of the secondary market, meaning the people who pretty much dictate the guidelines for mortgages, they they have a standard of credit reporting that they expect from all lenders, and that's FICO 4, 5, and 2. Again, I'm gonna repeat that: FICO 4, 5, and 2. So we all pretty much see the same credit report. Okay. And if it's not FICO 4, 5, and 2, then it doesn't apply. So, and that's using FICO scores, right? Credit Karma uses a Vantage score, which is not even closely related to FICO. It's it's a competitor, actually, right? And they use a totally different model. And I mean, there's a whole another video I made about the differences and why it's dangerous to use Vantage scores to determine what you can do to purchase a home. It's basically using a map for the like using a map of Florida when you're driving in Texas. It doesn't make sense, right? But anyways, that lady, she accused me of hurting her credit by 50 points because of my inquiry, and I was like, "I'm sorry, ma'am, that's not what happened. Your score was probably already in the low 600s. Maybe it was a 605. It's a 600 now, so I maybe changed it from 605 to 600, but it wasn't 650. Credit Karma basically gave you bad information, right? And she just wasn't hearing it. She was, I guess, walking around with her chest held high, flexing the fact that she's a 650, and I basically gave her the truth, and she wasn't willing to be accepting of that. She wasn't humble enough to believe that she was a 600 and not 650. I don't know, right? But the fact that she did that, it made it impossible for me to really consult her because she no longer trusted me, right? Number one, even though I was giving her true information, correct, accurate information. So the fact that she was lied to, and of course she was lied to, that made them look good and me look bad, right? So the fact that she was lied to by someone who's making themselves look good, she's not going to trust me. She's going to trust Credit Karma. But good luck trying to find someone who's going to use Credit Karma scores to qualify, right? Which maybe that's what she went to go do. I don't know, right? But if she is pulling her credit more, she's probably going to see more dings, especially if she waits 45 days after I pull her credit, right? But yeah, don't blame your lender if your credit scores are lower than you thought. Credit Karma is fake, right? And I'm not saying that it's going to hurt your ability to buy a house, but if you're operating with bad information, it's going to make it very difficult. That's why my title of my class is 5 things to do if you want to suck at home buying. Well, one of them is using bad information, right? So that's why this one is on my list. Okay. Um, Before I go with this one, does anyone have any questions or any comments? You can unmute or you can type your question, whatever. And if I see one, I will answer it. I don't see anything in the chat. Okay, great. I'm going to move on. All right, number 3. Do not do anything major to your current financial situation. No exceptions, right? And this really should be common sense. And I know that you've heard this before. Don't go buy a car. Don't open line of credit, whatever. I don't think people really get to the nitty gritty as to what this means. Okay. When you are applying for a mortgage to buy a house, credit is like a moving train. Okay. Your financial situation is it's like a moving train, like how much money you're making, in terms of the job history, your funds, your bank account changes every single day, obviously. The amount of time you spent at your work changes every single day, obviously. And your credit scores is changing every single day, obviously, right? When I say changing every single day, I'm talking about it gets updated differently depending on how many credit reports you have or credit lines of credit you have that's updating, whatever. Anyways, the point is, it's a moving train. Okay. Why am I bringing this all up? Because if you qualify with that snapshot of your credit and your income and your funds, that doesn't mean that you're going to qualify 30 days later if you were to do anything different, like change your job, right? Like book the next vacation, or like not pay pay one of your credit cards. Okay. And I'm naming things as has happened, right? Uh, I've never had a client buy a car before because I do a really good job of explaining don't buy a car. But I've had coworkers who've had people buy cars before. And we know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking, okay, I want to buy a house. I barely qualify for this house. Like if I were to add any more debts, I'm not going to qualify. So I want to buy this house, but I really want to buy this car too, right? And I'm afraid, I'm afraid that if I buy this house, I won't be able to qualify for the car later on. Meaning, if I buy the house today in July, in August, I won't be able to go buy this car because I won't qualify because I have this new mortgage payment, right? So I'm gonna try to trick the system. I'm gonna try to buy this car. I'm gonna zoom into my face, right? Because I want you to see like the facial expression. Okay, so you're trying to trick the system. You're like, I know that I barely qualify to buy this house, which means I probably won't qualify for a car again in August. If I'm buying in July, I won't qualify for the car in August because of my debt to income ratio, my income to debt, right? So I'm gonna try to trick the system right before, like 24 hours before I close. I'm gonna buy the car, right? Because the car transaction is quick, right? I'm gonna buy the car. That way I can have the car and the house. Because even though I qualify or don't qualify, it doesn't matter. I have cash money on the side. I got a side hustle. I got a sugar daddy or sugar mama, whatever, right? I can afford it. I have the money to pay for it. On paper, I might not, but I can afford it. So I'm not worried about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy this car, right? And therefore it won't be what do you call it? It won't be on my credit report, blah 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 blah, and I can have the car, my dreams, and the house of my dreams at the same time, right? Because you can't have a new house with a shitty car, right? You can't. And if you have a nice car, well, it'd be really baller if you have a nice house too, right? So you're flexing, right? So that's kind of like the mentality you have, right? So at the very last minute, you're buying this car, hoping that we don't notice, right? Because you won't qualify afterwards, of course. Like I said, no, we have a credit monitoring system that we have while we're working with you, and we do a credit supplement at the very end to see if there's any changes on your credit, right? So we will know if you buy a car. Now, if you bought the car cash and we're not worried about the cash, of course we're not going to know. That's under the radar, that's under the table, right? But if you are financing the car, we're going to know. We're going to find out, and that will kill your deal, okay? Or make it very hard to close your deal because we have to go back to underwriting and make sure the math works, whatever. And if you're in that mindset where I barely qualify for this house, I'm gonna buy a car, then you're definitely not gonna. I mean, just get ready to live in your car, right? That's what we like to say as lenders. Like, hopefully that car has enough room for your whole family to live in because you no longer have a house, right? Um, so uh, like I said, in the past, this has happened from one of my coworkers. The way they saved the deal was they had to have the client pay for the car cash. Like they literally paid so they financed the car, we found it, and then they're like, "Well, you don't qualify anymore, so you better do something. You can't return the car. You better do something because now you no longer qualify for." I don't know. Maybe I'm still here. Let me see. I had a internet disconnection. Hopefully, I'm still here. Bill says triple L in the house. Nice to see you, Bill. Thank you for the support and being on this call. I'm just making sure that my stream is still working, kind of, sort of. To see you, Bill. Thank you for. Oh, okay, the live's still going on, and Brad says you hear me. Good. I'm going back to the class and acting like nothing happened. Okay. All right, cool. So I was kind of harping on the whole like what do you call it? Like don't buy a car, don't do anything major. Um and I was literally about to finish, and I don't know if you guys if I got cut off at the end, but the lesson that I just want to sort of emphasize or teach is we're going to know if you do anything major, right? We're going to know if you do anything major financially. We're going to find out that there's a credit supplement that we do, and we get notified because we're doing credit monitoring, right? So you can't pull a fast one. Okay, it's basically what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that everyone who buys a car while they're buying a house did it on purpose, but we kind of know that a lot of people are trying to trick the system. So that's why I'm kind of emphasizing that. Now, it's not just about uh, you know uh, not buying anything like a car or whatever, but there's small things that can affect your situation. Like, let's say you're looking at buying furniture and you decide to finance that couch. That can affect you. That can create more paperwork, and that can kill your deal, right? And I'll be honest with you guys, if we told you, hey, let's try not to do anything majorly financial while you're trying to buy a house, we're trying to qualify you, and you go and do it anyways, then you're telling us you're high risk because we told you not to do it, and you went ahead and did it anyways, right? So it doesn't make us really excited about helping you if you're not really paying attention and doing your best to just close, right? And I'll tell you another story before I move on to the next one. And this killed my deal, right? My clients had great credit, 700s, mid 700s, whatever, and everything was good. Um, and for whatever reason, they didn't make their credit card payments, which was $25 a month. Don't know why. I don't know why they didn't, right? But we did a credit supplement and we found that their scores had dramatically dropped. It didn't disqualify them, but it dropped so low that the interest rate went up and all sorts of other stuff. And it made it so that we had to find other compensating factors to qualify them, and it created more paperwork, and we scrutinized the file even more. Obviously, like, how can you miss a credit card payment? We're trying to get you to buy a house, and in the middle of buying the house you drop the ball on a payment. That makes us really nervous, right? And it got to the point where the conditions were just too much for the people, and they decided to, just not move forward, right? So they weren't officially denied by us; they denied themselves for the most part. But it made it a whole lot harder, and it's because they decided not to make them credit card payments. And of course, I asked them very directly, "It's like, why did you not make your credit card payments?" And she literally said, "Oh, I didn't think you guys would notice because you already pulled my credit." I'm like, that that's it's unfortunate that she busted her ass so much to make her credit scores really high and decide to make an intentional decision not to make a $25 payment, right? So that's part of do not do anything major to your current financial situation. No exception. What I mean by that is keep doing what you're doing, obviously. Don't decide, to game the system. Oh, you put my credit, I can do whatever I want now. I can ignore my credit. I can ignore my payments. I can go buy more stuff or whatever. No, that's the we're again, it's a moving train. We're making a decision, literally a 30-year decision most of the time, on 2 years worth of information in literally a split second of your credit history, your credit performance, your habits. Okay. Don't change those habits. Don't add another credit card. Don't delete a credit card. Don't pay anything off, right? Unless we tell you to, right? Don't go to collections and start paying stuff off because you think it's a good idea. In fact, that actually might hurt your credit scores because a lot of these collections are old and they don't report all the time, and you pay it off and like, oh, let me update the reporting, and therefore it drops your scores again, right? It's like memory foam. It drops down and it comes back up eventually, but if you step on it, it's going to drop back down again, right? So there's lots of things that you can do to screw your approval over. So don't do anything major. When I say major, I'm talking about things like that. Right? Just do what you keep on doing. If we tell you you qualify, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't change anything. Don't add anything. Don't just make your payments. Don't try to pay stuff off. Don't try to be smart. Don't look up something on, I don't know, Credit Karma that gives you advice on how to increase your scores. No, if we qualify you based on the situation that you're at, then just keep it the same, right? And I put this really should be common sense, but it obviously is not. Right? Like the meme says, remember the closings next week, and the person, yes, I bought new furniture to celebrate. Right? That's actually very normal. That happens all the time. Like I'll actually, and I'm so glad my clients do this. They'll call me and say, "Hey, Larry, I know that you told us not to do anything, but we're at this furniture store and we saw a really nice couch, and they told us if we sign up right now, they'll give us a discount." I mean, no, no, they're going to tell you whatever they can to make the sale. They don't give a shit about your house, right? They don't care if if your couch is delivered to a an apartment. They don't care, right? They want to make the sale, so don't listen to them. Wait until afterwards. If they don't want you, if they're not want to give you a deal, it wasn't a deal anyways. Move on, right? But yeah, I mean, people have actually reached out to me in the middle of like getting ready to make a major financial decision, right? Again, it should be common sense, but it's not. People do it all the time, which is why we talk about it. 10 things not to do, or do's and don'ts when buying a house. We talk about all the time because people screw it all the time. So it's not common sense, even though it should be, right? So moving on. And actually, I forgot to talk about this meme. Credit Karma said your credit score was 680. That was a lie. Okay, yeah. I guess I didn't really have to talk about that one. That's obvious. All right, cool. So next slide. Any questions before I move on? It could be about what I just talked about in terms of what you should not do. There's probably stuff I'm missing, right? So you might have to look at my other classes, my other replays, because I'll talk about this class before. Maybe you can go to that class and you'll see, maybe there's a YouTube link or whatever, and you'll see like different content, or different stories or whatever, right? But yeah, the bottom line is just freeze, like you just stand still and just wait until the house closes. Once the house closes, you can do whatever you want, right? I'm not encouraging you to go crazy. I'm not encouraging you to go like make it rain, right? But I'm saying after you get the house and you get the keys and it's pretty much all said and done, what you do is now your business, right? Because you've already gotten what we were helping you do, which is the house purchased. We bought it for you, so we don't know what's happening afterwards. But we bought it for you, so we gave you the money to buy the house, and you have the keys, and you're living in there right now. Okay, for the most part, you're in the clear. Okay, so again, just wait until that happens before you go and celebrate, right? And if you want to go buy that car that you can't afford, well, you should take that as like an indication that you shouldn't buy that car. Okay. All right. So next slide. Do not feel entitled to be approved without putting out effort. Nobody owes you a mortgage. And I put the meme. Client calls asking how mortgage approval is coming along, hasn't sent you any documents. And this is like literally all the time. Okay. Uh, Now I have to be careful. I put nobody owes you a mortgage. I'm not saying that equal opportunity or whatever, like, some people deserve one, some people don't. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that just because you're you doesn't mean I automatically get to approve you. Right? I mean, I guess maybe if like the president of the United States apply for a mortgage, I might have to just automatically approve them and then just try to figure out later on, like talk to their, I don't know, their assistant about getting their documents, whatever. But for the most part, even the president has to provide documents, right? Like we have to know that, I mean, knowing that they're the president is not enough. We actually have to look at the pay stubs, right? We have to make sure they have money in the bank, right? They're not, funneling money from like their campaign, whatever. We have to source it, right? But anyways, no one can approve you without documentation. No one can approve without answering questions, right? And a lot of people, okay, when I say a lot of people, I say a lot of people who hate putting out any effort, they always give us pushback on this. Like, how come you're asking me for the same thing over and over and over? Or, you know, um, why do you need that page? Why do I know there's 7 pages of the bank statements. I give you the six that has information. The last one's blank. Why do you need that? Right? It's almost like they're telling us what we should use as evidence to prove that, and we're telling them we do this on a daily basis for hundreds of clients all the time. We know what we need, but yeah, sure, Mr. Customer, you know better than we do, right? Like your theories and your feelings and your perspectives totally dictates what the guidelines should be. No, we know what to do to get you qualified, and we're asking you for stuff to get you there, right? I always use the analogy, you know, you're the quarterback and I'm the wide receiver. I'm in the end zone. All I'm asking you is to give me the ball, toss me the ball. The ball is the last page of the bank statements. Right? I mean, just hand me the ball, give me the ball, toss me the ball. That's all I'm asking you for, and I'll bring you to the end zone, right? Um, Another analogy is, or another way I describe it is like, listen, we have people that are ready to sign a 200, 300, 400, $500,000 check to buy a house for you. The least you can do is give us your last page of your bank statements, right? I mean, let's be real here, right? I know it's more work than you're comfortable with doing. It's something that's out of your comfort zone or you're too busy with. I know that, but there's people in your position that are providing it for us, and we're going to give them the money first. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that there's not going to be money for you, but if this person has documents and this person does not, which file are we going to be able to work on first? The one who provides us documents. Okay. So don't get mad at us if you don't close on time because you're fighting us for that one page on the bank statements that's, that we asked for, and you refuse to give to us because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't, it's not logical to you, right? It doesn't matter. It's not, the mortgage business is not logical, right? And 9 times out of 10, most people don't know why certain things are needed. We just know that the guidelines are asking for it. And the way I explain it is, more than likely someone broke a law in the whole entire history of the mortgage business. Someone broke a law, someone tried to do something really illegal or something unethical or something unfair. Someone tried to game the system or take advantage of something, and because of that, they created a law to prevent that from happening. That's my explanation as to why you need to have the last page of the bank statements. Okay. But yeah, a lot of people, they feel like, this is too much work. Why are you asking for this? I don't have time for this. Or the my favorite clients are the ones that goes, I'm a 800 credit score and I've been in the same job for 20 years. And I've bought 50 houses and I've never had this much, BS I have to deal with. Okay, Mr. Customer, if you think that we are unfairly asking you for more shit than any other lenders, by all means, you are welcome to go find another lender who won't ask you for what we're asking for. But the general rule of thumb, and I was telling this to my clients, I don't ask for stuff that I want. I ask for stuff that I need. Right? I don't want to read. I hate reading. Right? I don't want to deal with more documents. I don't want to deal with more work. So the less work, the better. So why would I ask you for something just for fun? No, I'm asking it for a purpose, right? I'm asking it for intentional reasons. So I'm asking for something that I need. And if I don't need it, I wouldn't have asked you for it. So we're having this conversation because I need it. It's not, there's no negotiation. There's no like, if you want to, sir, give me your basics. No, I need it in order to qualify you. If you don't provide it, then nothing happens. We're sitting here. Nothing is pushed forward, right? And it happens all the time, right? It happens all the time. I'll have people who give me really bad versions, like they'll give me a photo of something like that, and they go, "This should be good enough." I'm like, "No, it's not good enough." The underwriter already said they can't read it. It's like, well, you need to get another underwriter. Well, no, that's not how things work, right? Your documents are, comparatively speaking, to the standard that we receive from all our clients, is literally not acceptable, right? But that's in a matter of opinion. Okay, well, our opinion is we're the ones trying to give you money, so you have to kind of meet our standards, right? So I have conversations like that, and I literally have to spend extra time, extra energy to convince them that what they think doesn't matter. It's what's required, and they're the ones who have to deliver it, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, again, do not feel entitled to be approved without putting out effort. No one owes you a mortgage, right? But I run into this all the time, at least once or twice a month, all the time, right? And of course, I'm not going to tell them who are being difficult. I'm not telling them that because that's going to create conflict and problems. Uh, but I'm telling you now, the public, hoping that you will at least be aware that we don't appreciate it, and it makes our lives harder, and it makes it so that we don't want to work on your file. It makes it so your file doesn't do anything, it stands still, and therefore make you suck as a home buyer, right? So that's the point of this slide, right? Um, so let's move on to the next one, unless someone has questions or whatever. If not, I will move on. Okay, so this is a big one. And this is the one I know for sure no one really talks about, right? But it happens all the time. I'm pretty sure every single lender and real estate agent will probably agree with this once I start sort of uh, elaborating on what I mean by that. But I say, number five, do not, under any circumstances, start the mortgage process if you're not physically, mentally, or emotionally ready. Let's start with physically. Okay. If you are in a situation where you must close at a certain date, no matter what, because you're going out of town, you're going out of the country, you have a job, whatever it is, you're not physically ready. Okay. If you're saying, Larry, I must close by this time or else I'm not closing, you're not physically ready, sir, to close. Okay. The mortgage process is not only unpredictable, but in terms of time, we just try to meet expected deadlines, but we can't guarantee it. If we guarantee it, more than likely, most mortgage companies would probably get sued constantly, right? Because there's no mortgage company out there, at least from my experience and from what I heard, that has closed every single loan exactly perfectly at the time that they're supposed to. Everyone's has missed a deadline, and not because of their fault all the time, but because of lack of effort from the clients or the fact that we need documents from an entity that takes forever to provide documents or whatever. I mean, there's so many different variables that can affect the timeline. And because there's so many variables and so many people involved, it's impossible to guarantee a closing date. I mean, appraisals alone affects closing time. Okay. So if you are not prepared to have a flexible closing period, you're not physically ready. Okay. And I'm not saying that don't buy a house if you're not physically ready, but it's going to make you suck as a home buyer because you're going to be stressed. We're going to be stressed. Everyone's going to be stressed. It's going to rush things, which might actually create problems. And at the same time, might cost more money, right? Uh, I mean, how many times have I heard of people who are stuck outside of their house? They can't buy because, or they get closed on because, we had delays and they're living in a hotel with a moving van full of their shit in front of the house. That is not physically ready, right? You're trying to you're trying to make things perfect. You're trying to like save as much time as possible, much money as possible, I guess, right? Um, and that's not how it works. You have to be flexible. You have to be prepared for the worst. Okay, I'll give you another example. I've actually heard of people who would schedule their electricity and utilities to shut down at a certain time, and they're do it exactly like the day of closing. Right. Well, we're delayed one day. Well, now they're screwed because they have one day of no electricity, no water, and they're upset about it. Right. It's like, well, no, you should have been prepared that the fact that there might be a delay, and worst case scenario, turn it back on. Right. I mean, if you're really at the situation where you're trying to save one day's worth of water and one day's worth of electricity, you're not physically ready. Right. If a day's worth of utilities, it moves the needle so much to the point where you're financially worried about it, then you're not physically ready. Right. You need to be able to flex, maybe pay an extra day or a couple of days of water and electricity. Maybe pay a couple extra days of rent, whatever. Right? You must be physically ready for the unknown realm that is of the mortgage process. Okay, so that's what I mean by physically. Okay, mentally ready. Okay, mentally is not just knowing what you're supposed to be doing, but it's also uh, be in the right state of mind. Okay, uh, you know, if you're stressed or given pushback because we're asking for documents, or oh my gosh, this is such a long process, or this is so much work, you're not mentally ready, right? You're not in the game, right? I mean, think about it this way: buying a house quite possibly will be the biggest financial transaction that you're going to partake in your entire lifetime, possibly, right? Maybe you're doing other stuff, I don't know, but for a large majority of people, and I'm talking Americans, right? Buying a house is probably going to be the largest purchase you're going to make. You must give it the respect that it deserves. Okay. So if you're not mentally ready, meaning you're not in the game, you're not ready to do the work, you're not ready to communicate, you're not ready to respond to requests, right? If you're to the point where you're not willing to read emails or answer phone calls, or you're uh, trying to figure out, why am I asking you for your tax returns? Why am I asking you for your pay stubs? Why am I asking you for your bank statements or your ID, or why cash doesn't work? If you're asking all these questions and you're in a way hesitating or fighting back, you don't know enough about the home buying process to enter the home buying process. You need to educate yourself. You need to watch more videos that I make or do some research so you can mentally prepare. Okay, you know what? This is a lot of work. You can't just push a button like, some companies might say. You can't just push a button and then get qualified. No, it's going to, the way I try to break down the mortgage process is the underwriters and of course the investors who write the checks to buy your house, they're like the judges, right? You're the defendant. You're trying to prove that you're innocent until proven guilty, meaning you qualify until proven that you don't qualify. And I'm your attorney, right? And my job is to prove your case. My job is to prove that you are innocent beyond a reasonable doubt, that you qualify with no reason to deny you, right? And I need evidence to prove that. Evidence is documents, credit reports, IDs, etc. So you have to prove that you are who you say you are, right? So you can't just show up to court and throw your hands up and be like, "Here I am," and expect to be proven innocent into be proven innocent to innocent into proven guilty. You can't expect that. You have to present a case. And building a case sometimes takes work, especially if you have tricky or unique situations. If you have shitty credit, or your work history is bad, or you're self-employed, you're gonna have to be prepared to do some work. Okay, if you're 800 credit scores, you've been the same job for the last 20 years, it's W2, and you have more than enough to buy a house cash, but you have it in the bank. Okay, then yeah, maybe you can show up and then there'll be minimal effort, right? And maybe it'll be a quick 5-minute conversation over the phone with me, and we're done, right? You just gotta click here and sign here and provide the whatever documents, and we're done, right? But more than likely, it's not going to be that easy, and you have to be mentally ready for this. Okay, so if you find yourself scratching your head like, why the hell is this lender asking me for this? Instead of just doing it, you're not mentally ready. Okay, because a lot of times the lender might not even know why they're asking for this. Maybe it's the underwriter that needs it, right? And maybe the underwriter, there's a chance that you're being asked for something that no one can give you a good explanation on. But it's part of the guidelines. It's part of what's required. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is stop fighting the process and just follow the process, because the more you fight, the more delay you get and the more stress and drama you create. If you just follow the process, not that you're a bitch because you're just following orders, but you're literally just being a team player. You're providing exactly what they want, right? And again, don't feel entitled. Just because you provide something doesn't make you like king shit and you deserve everything. You're trying to present a case, you're trying to defend yourself. And we're trying to help you do that. Trust me when I tell you, loan officers and real estate agents, they would want nothing more than for you to close your house. So we're on the same side, right? So there's no point in fighting us. We're on your team and we're trying to help you, right? So help us by helping you get the house by providing us what we need, answering the questions that we have, providing the documents that we have, things like that, right? So just if you want the right mental advice, just realize that this is a team effort. It's going to take work, and just be prepared to provide anything, including your blood samples. Right? I joke about the fact that we actually want to know what you did last week. There's a chance that I might need to know what you did last week. I might ask you what happened here, or let's say it's work history, right? Okay, you are at this new job today. What was your job last week, right? So there's a chance I might need to know what happened last week, right? So just be prepared for that. Okay. Be prepared for me to ask about your home life, your children, your children's ages. Be prepared for me to ask you, what is this? What is this payment right here? What is this line on the bank statements? What is this? Be prepared for those kind of questions. Okay. We're preparing you a case. We're trying to create uh, a strong offense by creating a strong defense, right? We're looking for all the different potential holes that might get you denied, and we're trying to cover or defend against that. Okay. So just be prepared for that. It's work. 2, 3, 4, $500,000, six figures are being offered to buy a house for you. The least you can do is be ready for it. Okay. Now, emotionally kind of goes along with mentally. If you're gonna cry like all the time, if you're super super scared, like worried about this or worried about that, if you're the point where if I don't get this house, I'm going to jump off a bridge, you're not ready, right? You're not ready. If every single time we ask you for a document, you have to like yell and scream and get mad and get angry, you're not ready for this process, right? Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're going to ask you for stuff. And in my opinion, we don't ask for enough, but of course, I'm a lender, right? But in most people's opinion, we ask for too much, right? Why? Because it's out of your comfort zone. It's not normal for me for you to take an hour of your day to go find documents. It's not normal. So therefore, you fight back. It's out of your comfort zone. It's not. If I ask you to do something like, let's say, hey, why don't you go do 2 hours of your job? You do it with no problem because that's what you do anyways. You're used to that. You're comfortable with that, right? But I'm asking you to do something that's not part of your job for the most part, right? So you're gonna fight back, right? And if you're gonna fight back, if you're gonna get angry about it, upset, or depressed, or like have to question everything, you're not emotionally ready, right? If you're in a situation where this is make or break, if I don't get this house, my life is over. You're not emotionally ready, right? Now, of course, there's exceptions with like maybe a loss in the family or divorces or whatever. I understand, right? But just be prepared to deal with a lot of stuff that you might not be emotionally ready for. And although we care as lenders about your situation, it doesn't help for us to get slowed down by emotional distractions. Okay. So you'll find that if you work with me, I'm very stoic, right? Meaning I don't have emotions. And I've actually had people like get mad at me. They're like, how come you're not more angry about this? How come you're not, like let's say we get denied or there's question, whatever. How come you're so cool about this? It's because I have to be, right? If you are losing your shit and I'm losing my shit, nothing's going to happen, right? And of course, if I'm losing my shit and you're the kind of type that gets triggered by that, then you're going to lose your shit even more. So I'm just encouraging you to lose your shit. That's not what we want. We want cool, calm, collected, balanced, uh, cool heads, right? I don't know how else to describe it, but basically people that are not affected emotionally to do the job. Just like surgeons, right? Surgeons don't have any reaction when they're cutting someone apart, right? They're just doing their job. They're basically a mechanic for the body, right? I'm trying to be a mechanic. I'm trying to do what I need to do with no emotional drive or worries or anxieties or fears. Okay. So again, if you're not emotionally ready, you should not get in the mortgage process for sure. Right. If you are, be ready for a wild ride, right? Because it's going to tug at your emotions because it's a stressful situation for us and for you as the buyer. Okay. All right. So any questions or comments or uh, any remarks about that? I'm checking the chat to make sure. All right, cool. So there's a bonus one. I think, yep, there is a bonus one. I put do not go under contract that is not subject to buyer obtaining buyer approval. And appraisal waivers and no inspections is questionable. Now, this is something that's newer. I didn't experience this when I first started, and I haven't experienced this for 4 or 5 years, whatever. It's a recent thing, right? Because of this market, how competitive it is, and whatnot, right? But I've seen contracts where the agent wrote it, and I guess the client agreed to it, unless the client doesn't know. But the agent wrote it so that it's not subject to buyer obtaining approval. So what that means, right? If you are not an agent or loan officer, and you might not know this anyways, if you are, it means that even if you don't qualify, like you get denied for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. You're still under contract to buy the house, right? So let's say you make an offer for $400,000 house. You put 1% down, which is $4,000 as earnest money, deposit, whatever you call it. It's good faith money. Like you're saying, I am serious. I'm putting 1% down to show you how serious I'm in. So that's $4,000. And you get denied. Maybe you had a debt that you didn't know about. Maybe you lost your job, right? Who knows? right? Maybe someone had an emergency and you had to basically liquidate all your funds to help them with their medical, uh, you know, uh, medical debts, whatever it is, right? For whatever reason, during the 30 days or less or more, during that time, you got disqualified. You were denied your loan. What the not being something under buyer obtaining approval is saying, it doesn't matter if you get denied. We don't care. You're still obligated to buy this house. And if you get out of this contract, meaning you don't buy the house, then your $4,000 is ours. We get to keep that $4,000 because that's the point of the $4,000, right? I think it's very dangerous to do this, not because we're not confident in your ability to buy if we pre-approve you. We're not saying that, but I think it's very dangerous because anything can happen. Again, you can lose your job. We don't control that, right? Again, maybe there's something on the credit report or in your background check that we didn't see, that you didn't tell us about, and we found in a later, more intense search, right? Um, or maybe your job goes from W-2 to commission in the middle of your buying process, right? Uh, or maybe there's something that we found that we had to send to the underwriting to really confirm, and we thought it might be okay, but the underwriter says no, we can't do that, and that happens, right? The underwriter ultimately makes the decision because they're the ones who basically set the loans to get purchased by investors, so that's why they're the underwriters, right? They might see something that we didn't see, that might be something that's new to us, or something that we didn't think would be okay, but for them we thought it would be okay, but for them we're like, there's no way we can get past this, right? It happens. Okay. So by putting yourself out there and saying, well, I'm going to buy this house regardless if I get approved for a mortgage or not, is really, actually really stupid. I mean, let's be honest here. Okay. I'm going to buy your house no matter what. Here's my $4,000. Even if I get denied for a mortgage, I'm still going to buy it. Right. Um, it's very dangerous to do that. Right. And I get it. Okay. And this might not be popular with a lot of real estate agents. I get that you're doing whatever you can to win the contract, but you're basically gambling with your client's money at that point, right? You're basically saying, I don't know anything about the mortgage business. I don't know anything about my client's finances, but I think they'll be okay. So let me go ahead and say that they're going to buy the house no matter what, even if they get denied. And I know it's going to be $4,000. Maybe they had to put more. Maybe they put $10,000. That's okay. We're going to go and put it on the line because I'm not worried about it. Even the lender won't guarantee that they're going to get approved, right? Even if you ask any lender, right? I'm telling you, even if they're telling you that they guarantee, they're lying to you, right? But no lender would put their life on the line to approve anyone. No one would be like, you know what? I guarantee they're going to get approved. I bet my life on. No one would ever say that. I bet my career. I bet my license. No one would ever say that. No one would ever guarantee that someone's going to get approved. No one would ever do that. Okay. So for you to make the decision as a real estate agent saying, well, I don't care if they get qualified or not, they're going to buy the house. Period. So we're going to make it so it's not subject to buyer opinion approval. It's very, very dangerous, uh, and I would say irresponsible with your client's money, your client's finances. Right? I've been in a situation where I was being blamed for possibly losing their money. I was like, well, I'm not the one who wrote the contract. I'm not the one who wrote the contract. I'm not the one who signed the contract. I'm just I'm just interpreting what the contract says and just trying to work with whatever you guys got. But in reality, I'm not the person who told you to do this. Right. So who's really at blame there? Right. And who actually gets screwed in that situation? Right. So I think that it's very foolish to go under contract without buyer obtaining approval. If that's what you need to win the house, just be ready. That's You're gambling at that point. You're literally making a huge financial risk by doing that, right? Not saying that again, we're not confident in your ability to get approved, whatever. We're confident, but then we're not going to guarantee it. We're not going to bet your $4,000, $10,000 on it, right? And again, appraisal waivers and no inspection is questionable. I've seen this also as well. Hey, we're going to go ahead and take the house as is. We don't care how much the house appraises for. We're still going to take it. It's questionable to me. Um, Obviously, short of the VA needing a pest inspection, we don't require an inspection for you to purchase a house. We require an appraisal for sure, but we would highly recommend it. Let's put it this way: most lenders would not buy a house without an appraisal and without an inspection. It should tell you something, right? And I'm pretty sure most real estate agents would also tell you the same. They would never buy a house without an appraisal and without an inspection. Just saying, right? So if they're not willing to do it, why are they encouraging you to do it? Maybe because the real estate agent just wants a commission. Maybe a real estate agent just wants to sell you a house, right? So again, I'm talking to buyers right now to not go under a contract that is not subject to buyer approval. Is like on the in Texas, it's on the I forgot what it's called. It's an addendum, financing addendum, something like that. It's on there, and there's like a box that you check or something that says subject to buyer approval and not subject to buyer approval. So make sure that you don't check the not subject to buyer approval, right? And thanks, someone just said great live event. I appreciate you saying that. I don't know who you are. It says Facebook user. I appreciate you saying that. Um, but like I said, just read all lines of the contract and make sure, like, say, hey, Larry, the mortgage guy says I should not buy the house. I mean, I should not go to contract unless it's subject to buyer approval. Can you make sure that you check that mark? And the agent gives you pushback, call me, call me, and I'll make sure that you know what the conflict is what it is, and I'll talk to the agent myself, and I'll be the bad guy if I have to. I'll be like, you're an idiot if you're trying to do this. You're trying to literally gamble your client's money, and I don't have to be the lender. I mean, okay, maybe I might be stepping on people's toes. Maybe I'm staying out of line, but I mean, as a professional in the mortgage industry, we're considered, or we're expected to command the confidence of the community, right? If I see something wrong happening, I'm going to point it out, right? So if you feel like you're in danger as a buyer because of the contract you're about to sign, please send it to me. Let me read it over. Let me give me a chance to at least answer your question, right? And I'll let you know if I think it's a good idea or not, right? My own honest opinion, and I'll put my name out there. I'll be like, hey, tell your agent, tell your loan officer, tell whoever, Larry Lee, MLS 1440741 says this is a bad idea for you to buy this house under this contract. I'm willing to do that, right? I don't think that that's me giving my opinion on contracts is limited to the states, but it might be. Who knows? But yeah, I really believe that's a bad idea. Right? I don't think it's worth it to gamble. But you know, if you're really confident, if you're like, I've had the same job for 20 years, I have 800 credit score, I have more than enough to buy the house cash, and $4,000 is a drop in the bucket for me, then yeah, by all means do that. You can afford it, right? But there's people out there that were like, I mean, their lives would be destroyed if they lost their earnest money, and those are the people that should not be signing that. Okay, especially since it's such an impact on their finances. If it really is an impact on their finances, they're on the edge of qualifying, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions? This event's supposed to start at 11. It's 12:25. That means I probably went over about 15 minutes, which I don't mind. But that's why I got kind of relaxed a little bit there. So, any questions, comments? Does anyone want to volunteer any takeaways or ahas that they got? Does anyone disagree? Does anyone think you're an idiot, Larry? I mean, you're an asshole for saying that or whatever. Does anyone think that there's more that I should add to this list? I'm pretty sure that I can have 10, but as you saw how detailed I got, I mean, I went over an hour, right? So 10 would probably take me 2 hours to cover unless I really, really speed through it, but maybe I'll do a part two, like, 5 things you shouldn't do and then 5 things you should do part two, right? Maybe I'll do that. But does anyone have any suggestions or what they think should be on the list? And I'll actually go over it real quickly again, not to be repetitive, but just gonna go through the 5 things plus the bonus. As number one, don't lie to your loan officer. We'll find out. And don't blame your lender if your credit scores are lower than you thought. I don't know why this is a thing, but it's a thing, right? I mean, I asked the client, "What do you think your credit scores are?" And they'll tell me, and I'll be like, "Where'd you find it?" They tell me Credit Karma. I'm really tempted, and I've actually said it. It's like, depending on the client, I guess. I'm like, just wanting to let you know that we don't use the same credit scores. It might be higher or lower, but it's a different credit index, just to prepare you. Okay, and hopefully they understand what I'm saying, so that if the scores end up lower, I told you, right? I mean, you kind of got lied to, you kind of got faked, you kind of got duped You thought you were a 600 credit score when you're actually a 500. Sorry, but not sorry, because I'm not the one who gave you the bad information. Okay. And I took the chance by pulling your credit, right? Three, do not do anything major on your current financial situation. No exceptions. This should be obvious, but it's not, because people screw this up all the time. And if you are a loan officer and you don't tell your clients, then shame on you, right? And someone is asking a question: do I do lives weekly or monthly? I actually do it every single week. Again, I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you asking. I do every single week. The way I do it, I used to do 3 classes a week, I'm sorry, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But because of summer school, or not summer school, because of summer, I actually kind of condensed my time. So I do my Wednesday, Thursday classes together on this time slot, which is 11 on Wednesdays. So next week, we're going to talk about the VA loan, because I do the VA and I do first time homebuyer classes. So next week, I'm going to do the VA loan. And the week after that, I'll go back to the first time homebuyer class. So I'm kind of going back and forth. But those used to be 2 separate classes, um, two different topics altogether, right? And then I have my social media class, which I teach on Fridays. I've made that a 3 o'clock on today. So basically, I do all my 3 classes on Wednesday, 11 for the real estate stuff and the mortgage stuff, and 3, this is all Central Time, for the social media marketing stuff, right? So hopefully that answers your question. But I really appreciate you asking, because that lets me know that you might be interested in more, which is cool. Thank you very much. All right. So number 4, do not feel entitled to be approved without putting out effort. Nobody owes you a mortgage. And again, I have to be careful, because of course, equal opportunity and discrimination, whatever. I'm not saying that you don't qualify because of who you are. I'm saying you don't qualify because you cannot do the work that's involved in buying a house, meaning provide us documents. Like, it's very simple. I can't qualify you for a mortgage if you don't fill out a credit report. If I mean you don't fill out an application, I can't qualify you if you don't give me your credit information so I can pull it. I can't qualify you if I don't have your proof of income. I can't qualify you if you don't have give me proof of funds, unless you're getting funds someplace else. But otherwise, that's still some sort of documentation. If you're not willing to document, if you're not willing to provide me evidence, I can't qualify you, right? And that's just one small part of what I'm talking about, right? Like, this is one small part. There's lots of other things that people, home buyers, do that shows a little bit of entitlement and lack of wanting to be a team player, lack of effort, and it just doesn't make anyone's lives easier. I mean, sorry to say, but this is the truth, and you should know this. You're not the only client that I have. So if you're giving me pushback and this other client is giving me all they want, I'm going to put all my energy towards getting them closed, because I already know that they're willing to play ball and they are giving me what I need, and they're quicker and easier. So I know they're going to close. Yours, I'm questioning it's going to close or not, because I can't even get the last page of the bank statements from you. I actually had a client one time. This is another story that kind of came up. I had a client who redacted his bank statements. He deleted everything. Like, I couldn't see his bank statement number. I couldn't see like all the transactions. And I explained to him, like, sir, I cannot take this. He's like, why not? I'm like, it's because it's redacted. And when it comes to documents for a mortgage process, guidelines require unredacted, uncut off, un uh it has to be legible documents, including your bank statements. So, well, I don't want you to know what I make my. I'm like, well, sir, if that's the bank account that you're using to provide funds, then we need all the statements. So either you can go start a new bank account with no purchases, or you provide me this one unredacted. And he refused, and therefore nothing happened. Like, he never got pre-approved, right? And that's his decision, right? I mean, again, it's not negotiable, right? Um, this person says, I'm a realtor in Houston. I like live events, so I can refer you to buyers to watch the show. I just want to invite buyers to watch, but they're not veterans. That's okay. And I'm glad that you brought that up. It's funny, because I was actually talking about this with one of my regulars who comes to these calls. I think he actually might be in the call right now. Brad. Let me see here. Nope, he's not on the call, but that's okay. But he was on the call earlier, and he was like saying, "Can I invite my buyers?" I'm like, that's kind of the point, right? The point is, I want my content to be so valuable to everyone that people want to share it, right? And obviously, I don't know who are buyers for the most part, but I know who are realtors. So that's why I share these classes to my real estate partners and the real estate community, real estate groups, because I know you guys might know who the buyers are. I don't know who the buyers are, so I just kind of throw it out there. It's kind of like doing a radio station. Whoever turns my my channel on and listens to it, cool. But I don't know who those people are. But in my perspective, logically thinking, real estate agents probably are more dialed in as to who might be a buyer because they have their own database. So the hope is that my content and my information is so valuable and important and useful that people are encouraged to share it, especially real estate agents sharing it to their buyers, right? So that's really what I'm trying to achieve. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I actually do these calls so I can create content, so I can create YouTube videos for the future. Like I said, if you saw my mission earlier, I talked about how I want to create on-demand content for people who want to learn about the mortgage business without having the requirement of talking to a loan officer. Because us loan officers, we're salespeople, we're intimidating, and we're not going to give you information unless we think you're going to be a client, right? So I want to change that. I want to flip it on its head and say, listen, you can get all the information you need without ever talking to a loan officer, including me. That's what my goal is. That's my purpose. I want to be like the Netflix of the mortgage industry, right? That's what I'm trying to provide, right? So I'm creating content for that purpose. But the reason why I invite people is because I want to make myself accountable that I have to do these classes. I have to show up and do the, because again, in 2021, I wasn't making videos even though I wanted to, because I never time blocked for it. I never obligated myself. I never scheduled it. This forces me to schedule it. And at the same time, I'm inviting people because I'm like, why not? I'm doing the class anyways. I might as well invite. And plus, people ask questions, which creates more content for me, right? Especially if you ask a really cool question, I answer it. That's a video I can make out of that, right? So that's the main reason why I started doing this. But the residual benefit and goal and hope is that my show, my calls, my classes are so valuable that people subscribe to it and they share it. Especially to me, the ideal situation would be real estate agents sharing it to their clients. And of course, those clients share it to their friends who also might be home buyers as well. So please, the answer to your question is uh, or yes, I do these lives weekly, and I would love it if you refer to your buyers. In fact, if you were to tell me ahead of time that you do that, I can actually add you to the call, and you could also help answer questions if that's what you would want. Okay, so again, I appreciate that, and hopefully you can reach out to me, let me know who you are. Maybe we can actually coordinate things, right? And I'll give you my information at the end of this call if you do want to reach out. Either way, you don't have to, because again, I'm only give information to whoever for any reason. Okay. All right. So number five, do not actually I told my number four. Oh yeah, do not be until yeah. Number five, do not under any circumstances start the mortgage process if you're not physically, mentally, and emotionally ready. And I'll tell you the truth, I think 90% of the people who are in the mortgage process are not ready. Right. They're not ready mentally, physically, or emotionally. They're always in a rush. They must close by this time. I'm going out of town. My mom's flying in, whatever excuse, the aliens are invading, whatever excuse, it must close today or we're not gonna close, right? Oh, and sellers, I mean, the sellers are even worse. They're like, if you don't sign by this time, then we're not going to be able to close. I'm not going to be able to. I can't extend it. No, they don't want to extend it, right? 9 times out of 10, they don't want to extend it, right? But I can't extend it. It must close this week or that's it, right? It's all pressure. It's all negotiation and feelings and drama, right? I mean, if we just had level-headed, logical conversations without emotions and just be transparent, there'll be a lot less stress in the mortgage business, a lot less stress in the home buying business. But of course, people have feelings and they're selfish and they have plans, right? They're trying to make things perfectly. If I plan the electricity to get turned off this time, if I get the movers at this time, then it's going to cost me the least amount of money. It's going to be perfect. I'll be able to move for the weekend because I don't want to move in the middle of the week. Da 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 da. I mean, again, if you're in that situation and you're trying to make things perfect and one day ruins everything and it totally fucks up your day, fucks up your life, then you're not ready. Physically, mentally, or emotionally, just so you know. Okay. And sorry for cussing that, but I really want to emphasize to people that if that's who you are, you're not ready. And just be prepared for a wild ride. Be prepared for a lot of stress and drama and anger and fear and sadness and crying and whatever. Okay. So again, if you're not physically ready, don't do it. But if you have to, we're here. Okay. And that's what the meme says. I mean, first time buyers build credit, save a down payment, get pre-qualified, make an offer. They skip all those. Right? It happens. Right. Okay, cool. So again, the bonus one was do not go under contract that is not subject to buyer approval. And because of what happened to Dawson here. The underwriter said, no, it happens. I mean, I think statistics is like 50% of 50% of conventional and FHA loans don't close. 50%. That's a big number, right? I think it's like 70% for VA. We just do a better job underwriting VA loans, okay? Or preparing VA loans. But I mean, look at the math. 50 to 70%, that's 60%. 60% of loans, according to statistics, last I read, 60% of loans don't close. That means 40% don't close. That's a big gamble. So out of 10 clients, 4 of them are not going to qualify. And you're writing non-contingent offers for all 10 clients. Wow. Right. So yeah. Okay, cool. So no questions. I appreciate everyone who's watching, who asked and contributed. If you want to reach out to me, you can. Larry Lee, 832-606-2183, Larry Lee at openmortgage.com. You can go larrylee.com, or you can Google me if you forget all that, Larry the Mortgage Guy, and more than likely you'll find me. I actually intentionally did it that way. Okay. But if you want to reach out to me, if you want to ask questions, again, you want to collaborate. If you have questions, if I'm going to do replays, so I'll send the replays to the people who actually sign up through Zoom. You'll get a link to the replay. You'll get a link to the slides, all the good stuff, whatever, right? Either way, I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you don't have any questions, I'll let you go right now. Again, this is Larry, the Mortgage Guy, your mortgage insider and certified veteran mortgage advisor, right? I really appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.